How's it going, everyone? And welcome to episode number 1 of Discover the Thrill. My name is Nick Russo, and we're just jumping right into this. I have no idea how this is going to turn out, but I'm just trying it. I hit record on my recorder, and we're starting out this podcast. And episode 1. It's pretty exciting. Pretty exciting stuff if you are a theme park fanatic like myself. So that, of course, is the entire focus of this show. Theme parks, theme parks, theme parks. We'll be talking about other stuff, I'm sure, along the way. But right off the bat, yes, this is theme parks, and primarily the theme parks here in Central Florida. I am an Orlando resident, and I specifically moved here to Orlando, Florida, to work in the theme parks and be around the theme parks and just, take them in all of their glory. So, yeah, that's me. So just a little bit more detail about me, I guess, real quick. I'm not going to talk about me too much, but I moved here to Orlando in 2012, so only 3 years ago, to get a job as an entertainer at Universal Studios. And after that, I wanted to stay full-time and pick up a job, and I did. Started working for a magazine also, Attractions Magazine, so shout out to them. If you need information on theme park everything, head over to attractionsmagazine.com. They also have a great YouTube channel. They cover everything, events, just openings of attractions. They do a weekly show called Orlando Attractions Magazine The Show, photo finds, the weekly rewind. I mean, it's just a ton of great stuff. They're an amazing channel, amazing group of people, and they'll keep you up to date on everything. I'm not here so much to keep you up to date on things. I will be doing that from time to time. I'm not very concentrated on delivering the news so much as I am kind of giving my opinion, speculating on things, and that's really it. I hope in the future we'll be able to have some guests on the show too to talk about whatever. I mean, the sky's the limit, really. I work in the theme parks, like I said, so I'm around people all the time who I would absolutely love to talk to. I'd really like to talk to some creative minds who've worked on attractions. That's kind of my goal right now. But for this episode number 1, I wanted to kind of hone in and focus on something that happened very recently. It wasn't really something that happened, but it's kind of just a record setting. The city of Orlando set a record with 62 million tourists last year in 2014. Yeah, the Visit Orlando organization has revealed that more than 62 million people visited Orlando in 2014, marking a new all-time record for the U.S. travel industry. So, that's crazy. That's really, really crazy. And I'm proud. I'm proud as hell because I moved to this city wanting to be involved with the tourism industry, and that number is just showing how many people are coming. And it's no secret that Central Florida, more specifically Walt Disney World, has been the travel destination, the tourism destination of the planet. So that's no secret, but it's growing more and more. And we're going to get into the pros and the cons of that, but right off the bat, my reaction to that is just, yes, keep them coming, because I want people to see what we have here. It's a really exciting place, so keep them coming. But what I want to say about that is, what's leading to that volume? That's the question I have. What is leading to that volume? And my answer to that is the expansions, the construction, all of the additions that they're putting into the park. The parks, Universal, Disney, SeaWorld, Busch Gardens, all of it, and outside of the park. I mean, we have had a ton of expansions and a ton of additions to the theme parks lately. With Diagon Alley, oh my gosh, just Diagon Alley alone at Universal has brought so many people. I swear, guys, I walk through that park and I'm astounded. I'm astounded. And more specifically, when you work at Universal, you have to do something called goodbyes. And not every team member has to do it every night. They send one team member per attraction up to the front of the park at the end of the night, and you wave goodbye to everyone. You say thanks for coming, and yeah. So when I'm standing out there and I see all of these people leaving the park, I'm astounded at how many people are in there. And one of the biggest draws right now at Universal is Diagon Alley, of course, but we're seeing expansions all over the place, and we can go back even as far back as the new Fantasyland expansion. That's a couple of years old now, but even things like that are bringing masses of people into the Magic Kingdom. Because you have to remember, when you're a local, or if you're even just a very regular visitor to the Orlando area, you kind of keep up to date with all of the new things, and they're not as exciting to you after a while, but these things are still brand new to a lot of people who don't come to Orlando very often. So the repercussions of putting in a new attraction or a new expansion to any theme park, they last for a long time, years and years. So we're seeing all of this growth in the tourism from these expansions. And outside of the parks, we're also seeing things like the Orlando Eye going up. We're seeing the Artigan Marketplace coming. Just a lot of draw, and it's giving people a lot to do when they're not in the theme parks themselves. So I think that's one reason for the boom in tourism, but I think another factor is the economy. A lot of people are aware that when the economy is not doing so well, certain industries will still thrive. And I think the most popular one that is talked about is the movie industry. People still go to see movies when the economy is bad. And that's because they need an escape, they want some fun in their lives, and, it's not all that much to go see a movie, $10, whatever. But what is really surprising is that even when the economy is bad, people still go to the theme parks, and a lot of them. And they spend $100 or more on a ticket. So now that we have a little bit more of a stable economy, and things aren't as bad as they were a few years ago, we're seeing an insane amount of people coming to these parks. Insane. And there's really not much of a peak season anymore when you really think about it. It's kind of always peak season. There's times when it's higher capacity, but we're seeing a pretty stable amount of guests in these parks and at these attractions now. So we know where it was, the tourism, and now we know where it is. So where is it going? Is it going to continue growing? Is it going to kind of remain the same and level off? Is it going to die down? Well, it's not going to die down. It's very unlikely that it's going to die down here in Orlando. I don't see why it would, especially considering the fact that we have a lot of additions coming to both Walt Disney World and Universal very, very soon. One of the biggest expansions coming to Disney right now is Avatar Land, which is extremely exciting. Even if you're not a big fan of the movie, I think it's a really, really beautiful land, just going by the very early concept art that they put out. Granted, I think there's a lot that can go wrong with this place. I mean, the technology that they're putting in there, it's questionable. There's some additions in Avatar Land that, they showed images of people walking on these platforms that will light up, kind of be like bioluminescent. That's kind of the idea. And those things look like they could break pretty easy. And I don't know. I mean, I'm sure they're going to put a lot of thought into it, but I'm getting off track here, though. What I really want to talk about is how the population of these parks will grow, or the attendance of these parks will grow with these new additions. So Avatar Land is just one of them, and if you look at the numbers of the success of that movie, and the new movie coming out in, I believe, 2017, I mean, that expansion is going to be massive. And if you have visited the Animal Kingdom recently, which, by the way, is where the expansion is going, they've already started plans, so they've actually already started construction on expanding the parking lot. They're planning that much ahead. When you expand a parking lot, I mean, you kind of know what you're doing. You're bringing a lot more people. That's a telltale sign. And that just reminds me, just a side note, that they just got rid of the Richard Petty driving experience over at Magic Kingdom, so perhaps they're building more parking lot over there. I don't know. But, all of these things are going to happen when you see a record attendance in Orlando with 62 million tourists in 2014. I mean, guys, that is a massive, massive number. It's insane. And like I said, I'm really excited about it, but there is a con. There's a bad side to this, and we're going to address that as well in just a minute. But I also want to talk about maybe why that attendance is also growing. So we mentioned Avatar Land, we mentioned Diagon Alley, and I don't know if these next factors have anything to do with the current growth of tourism here in Orlando, but they definitely will contribute to the future growth of tourism. But those are the Hollywood Studios updates over at Disney, and the unannounced project at Universal Islands of Adventure, which is rumored right now to be a King Kong ride, and also Downtown Disney. And, not to mention, the Orlando Eye. So those are four huge things, and there's a lot more, but those are like the big four right now. We have the Hollywood Studios, which is rumored to be some Star Wars stuff, Downtown Disney, King Kong, and the Orlando Eye and iDrive 360. Those kind of really touristy things over there. So we have a lot going on right now, and I think honestly we could see this number 62 million rise to 65 million next year with these things opening up. I mean, it's crazy. So we know why people are here, and we know it's going to continue. But what is going to be the outcome of this growing tourism? That's kind of the really exciting thing, because it's really easy to get annoyed with the massive crowds and the insane amounts of traffic and people that are here in Orlando. That's really easy, just to say, I hated going there because it was crowded. But when you really step back and look at the crowds, what those crowds mean is expansion and future development, because obviously, these parks are getting more money, millions and millions and billions of dollars from the ticket sales and merchandise sales and all of the income. They're going to do something with that money, and that's how the business of theme parks work. They get money and they build more things, because more things bring more money. So when you look at a crowd of people, and when you look at 62 million tourists in 2014, I don't want you to think, oh, I hate crowds, I hate lines. I want you to think new hotels, new theme parks, new water parks, new ways of transportation, new shows, new restaurants, new everything. I mean, guys, 62 million tourists, it's a lot of dough. It's a lot of attraction money. And the more money, the more research, the more technology, the better attractions. So that's really what these crowds mean. It doesn't mean just waiting in line. And when they expand these parks, when they put in new areas of these parks, new attractions, truth be told, the crowds are going to disperse a little bit. I hope, anyway. I mean, with the new expansion of Avatar Land coming to Animal Kingdom, I'm really, really hoping that that's going to draw some people out of the Magic Kingdom and maybe even Epcot and just kind of disperse the crowds a little bit. That's kind of what we need, and I think that might also happen at Hollywood Studios once those expansions go into place, and even Downtown Disney. For the past year, Downtown Disney has been extremely just out of whack, just construction central. Even the parking garage wasn't getting anywhere quick, and but that's going to change soon. Downtown Disney is turning into Disney Springs, so we have a lot going on at Disney World specifically, as far as kind of crowd disbursement goes, and I think that's going to be a really good thing. We need to get some people out of the Magic Kingdom on a day-to-day basis. That's kind of my point there. So yeah, touch base here. We know where the crowds were. We know where they're at. We kind of know where they're going. And the big question, kind of the main concern, is as a guest to the park, what do these high volumes of tourists mean to your park experience? Well, I'm not going to lie. Right off the bat, the crowds affect your experience. They do. And like I said before, it's really easy to get annoyed at these crowds. You're walking down Main Street of the Magic Kingdom. You're walking in any area of any park, and the crowds, they're there. And they're also in the lines, and they can boost these lines up to 90 minutes to 3 hours. It's the truth. And a lot of the time you can be at the mercy of these crowds. So how can you alleviate the stress of these crowds? Well, I think one of the most obvious answers is Express Passes at Universal and Fast Pass Plus at Walt Disney World. Granted, that's not going to save you any stress from being in the crowds when you're just walking through the park, but it'll absolutely save you the stress of waiting in lines. It might give you a little bit more peace of mind that you can get more done even when the parks are crowded. And it's a very expensive thing to get a Express Pass at Universal. Luckily, the Fast Pass Plus at Disney, they're free with admission if you have a Magic Band and or a pass, so you can get those. But that's the most obvious answer. The next answer that I have for you, this is kind of a tool that you might want to utilize if you are planning a trip to Disney or Orlando in the future. And that's on the Orlando Informer website, orlandoinformer.com. And there, what you can find is actually a crowd calendar. And this crowd calendar breaks down the month of the year and shows you approximately how many people will be in the park, whether it's high attendance, low attendance, or moderate. It also has days, hours of operation, and it also factors in special events such as Halloween Horror Nights and Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. So it's a really good tool if you want to see maybe what the crowds are going to be like when you plan your vacation. And if they're going to be too big, maybe you want to reconsider your travel dates. It's a great tool. And if you're on YouTube, I'll put that link in the description. So, and the way they get those projections, by the way, is kind of just doing an average of the years past. And it's not always reliable, by the way. So, I do a little bit more research after looking at that calendar and see if those projections are accurate, because I've worked in the parks, like I said, and there's days where we'll come in and we'll expect 50,000 people in the park and wind up with 90,000, or whatever, the complete opposite, expect 90 and end up with 40. So, it's not perfect, but they try their best. So the crowd calendar is a great way to kind of manage that crowd stress. Another And this idea about managing the crowds isn't as easy as it sounds, but make the best of the crowds, man. You know, the crowds are going to be there regardless, and it goes back to that saying, you can't beat them, join them, so make the best of it. I see a lot of people walking around Universal and Disney, they look so upset. They look like they're not having any fun at all. And I'd say my best advice would be make some friends while you're standing in line or wherever where you're at, we're in the park. I think people forget something about these parks, that these are parks. These are places that you're supposed to go to be a kid. At the end of the day, I mean, they're built for kids, but when you're an adult in these, I mean, no, they're not built for kids. I don't know why I said that. You know, certain areas of the parks are built for kids, but I think theme parks are built for the child in all of us. So when you're going into these parks, you're supposed to just let your guard down and have fun. And so many people forget to do that. They get so wound up about the crowds and the lines and the wait times, and they forget to look around and even just talk to one another. So that's a great way that you can alleviate the stress of these crowds, is just talk to a stranger. These people are there to have a good time. They're not going to bite. They're not going to hurt you. It's fun. It's fun. Just make some friends and maybe even spend the day with some people. I know that sounds pretty out there because you're there with family, but you know, families can combine and become one big family. I promise it's a great way to alleviate the stress and really have a good time at the parks. So FastPass Plus, the crowd calendar, and making friends. Also plan strategically, and that kind of ties into looking at the crowd calendar, but really just plan strategically. And a big part of planning strategically is just mapping out your time. And a great way that you can do that, especially if you're staying on site at one of the on-site hotels at Disney or Universal, your hotels are right there on property. So if you go to the parks and things start picking up, you can just go back to your hotel. You don't have to stay in the parks and be all stressed out. You can just go back to your hotel, rest for a little bit, and come back later. And that works particularly well when your vacation is kind of a little bit longer than a few days. If you're here for 2 weeks and you have tickets every single day, do not rush. Please do not rush. That's how you can kind of alleviate some more stress of the crowds and everything. So just plan strategically. Do some research before you get there. Find out show times. Find out wait times. Find out when things are best to do. Find out when you're going to eat. Now, I'm not saying go crazy. I'm not saying be anal and plan every single little detail of your trip, because I am not an advocate of that whatsoever. I think your vacation needs to flow. I think you need to have an open mind and let it flow. But if you want to save yourself a headache and you don't want to drive yourself crazy because of the crowds, these inevitable crowds, 64 million people in 2014, you need to plan strategically. And if planning strategically involves saving a little bit of money to get that express pass and that fast pass, well, then maybe you should consider that. It is an extra expense, but I think it will be worth it. All right, guys. So that's going to do it for our first episode. It's kind of a short show, but I'm not a huge fan of those hour-long podcasts. So I'm going to keep it down to however long this was. I kind of have just been talking. It's weird when you do these things. You just talk and talk and talk, but I don't think it was too long. So I want to keep it to a comfortable length. Let me know what you thought of the show. Today, we just covered the crowds, but there's so much to talk about. There's so much to talk about, and I look forward to it. So let me know what you thought of the show. What can I improve on? Let me know if you have any questions that I can cover in future episodes. And thanks for listening, guys. I'm Nick Russo, and until next episode of Discover the Thrills, get out in the parks.